disposal, how to manage our waste effectively so that we do not have people littering everywhere and, you know, causing flooding for us. If this thing is something that we can prevent by ourselves, why do we have to allow it happen in the first place? And more importantly, we need to educate citizens about environmental protection. These are some of the things we have been doing on climate care over the months and weeks. And it's also important that we support our communities because, hey, we are always interested in families, communities, you know, by providing climate friendly infrastructure and responding quickly to environmental emergencies. At least when we have some of these things, how are we ensuring that there are structures in place to address this challenge for those in the rural communities in case of flooding, in case of emergencies? How do we have, people step in immediately to prevent and avert most of the challenges that we have, just like the person who just lost livelihood? I mean, what would we even tell that young man that would console him around it? But hey, it is what it is. And then when governments take climate action seriously, it becomes easier for others to do the same. I said it from inception. We need, to take the lead. We need to take the lead. The government needs to take the lead because, I mean, when they take the lead, it becomes easier for other people to follow suit. Again, we look at businesses because you find out that during the rainy season and what have you, with the change in climate, businesses have an important role to play. It's not a government issue alone. Why do we say this? This is because businesses are important drivers of economic growth, but many industries also contribute to pollution. We have areas where we have companies, and in these places we have emissions, we have waste, and the use of natural resources. So I think it's also important that they look at all of these areas. And this for us means that businesses have a responsibility to reduce their impact on the environment. They will not just use the environment and not be able to protect it. No, we know it's your business, but hey, people live around, people work for you, and people in that vicinity also deserve, to live in a safe environment. They can also use cleaner sources of energy, to manage it. We can also reduce waste during production. This is very, very important. Reduce waste during production. And also, we need to recycle materials. It cannot be overemphasized. We've talked about this. And it's important that we minimize plastic packaging. Plastic packaging is everywhere, and this is not to speak ill of any business that uses plastics. No, this is not what it is about. This is raising the consciousness of citizens to what is right and what needs to be done. It's not targeting any individual, please. And it's important that we adopt environmentally friendly practices. Practices where we have proper waste bin for disposal, practices where we don't just dump nylon, we don't just dump plastics on the way and what have you. We don't just remove waste from companies and dump it at a place that is not proper. It's also important that we look at how businesses can also invest in projects that restore the environment, such as tree planting and community cleanup initiatives. We need to rejuvenate that. I mean, cleanup initiatives cannot be overemphasized. It's good for the environment. It's good for the citizens. If we maintain that culture, we'll find out that most of the waste we have littered all over will not be there because we would have cleaned up our environment over time. It's also important that we protect the environment, not just because it is good for nature, but it is also good for businesses and the communities they serve. You don't want to do business in an environment where people are suffering from one ailment or the other. People keep running in and out of sickness and what have you. And for your business, when the environment is flooded, I mean, you'll not be able to do much. when we see most of these videos all over social media and even in developed countries, so it's not a Nigerian thing. Climate change is here with us. We just need to find a way to adapt. It's also important that we look at, the area of we as individuals. What is our role? The power of we citizens as individuals. Many people believe that one person's actions cannot make a difference. But the truth is that every positive action matters. Take that today. We can help by disposing our waste properly, avoid littering. We've said this over and over, reducing the use of single use plastics. We can save water and electricity. We can plant trees where possible. I mean, these are simple actions. And I'm just highlighting some of these things because these are things that any individual can do. You don't need to call the government. You don't need to call the whole community to be able to do this. And it's important that we keep our surroundings clean. We've talked on several episodes about how parents can teach their children to care for the environment. Don't say, oh, Omakekereni is a small boy, is a small child, I don't want that. No, don't do that. Even a child can learn. A child needs to learn what is appropriate because I'm a Christian. The Holy Book says, train up a child in the way he or she should go. And when they grow, they would not depart. So hopefully when you train your children, to understand these things, they in turn will be able to also help because they do the ice cream and whatever they take. So it's important that we also encourage them to take care of the environment. And it's also important that as a community, we organize sanitation exercises. In some states, we know they have particular days. In some markets, we have particular days. Please, that could be strengthened and taken forward. It's also important that neighbors around, learn to adopt environmentally friendly habits because it's not a one-man show. Like we say, all hands must be on deck because when millions of people in their spaces of influence make small changes, those changes become a powerful force for protecting the environment. It's not just about, oh no, if I do, it doesn't matter. Nobody needs to notice. Let's just do right by ourselves. If you are just joining in, you are onto the show Climate Care, and the time is 26 minutes before 12 noon. I beg your pardon. 26 minutes? No, that's 16 minutes before 12 noon. And it's still Climate Care. We're discussing who should bear the greatest responsibility for climate action. Is it the government? Is it businesses? Or is it individuals? You can call us. You can drop a WhatsApp on the go or listen to us while you are wherever you might be. It's also looking at working together because this is an important thing. We like to work in silos. The power of collaboration, the power of partnerships. We need to work together. The fight against climate change cannot be won by one group alone. No, it's not even possible. Governments can make good policies, but those policies need businesses and citizens to support them. That is the truth. So when businesses can introduce greener practices, and consumers also need to choose environmentally friendly products whenever possible. You don't just do random things that you think, no, it doesn't matter. It does. And then we've looked at the fact that, individuals can change their habits. They also need to support through better infrastructure and environmental policies. We see people building on canals where water should be passing. That is a bad practice. We are not building environmentally friendly atmosphere. If we do that, if we build on pathways, we put up our kiosk, we know everyone wants to earn a living, and it is not even possible. So again, another important thing will be the fact that at this point, we need to look at the fact that while government carries the greatest responsibility because it has the authority to make laws, it has the authority to also provide public services. It's also important that they lead national climate efforts. This is very, very important. So when we ask who bears the greatest responsibility, the answer is not as simple as just picking one group. No, government has to take the lead. They have a role to play because they will make the laws, they will provide public services, and they would lead national climate efforts. On the other hand, businesses also have a huge responsibility because many industries have a direct impact on the environment. At the same time, individuals cannot ignore their own role because we are all in it. It's not a one person. When climate change affects anyone, it is not going to affect maybe a certain set of people. Maybe it doesn't even give you signal. That's the truth. Sometimes it takes you unawares, and we have not grown to that level where we have signals as to whether to prepare for this or prepare for that. It's also important that we throw our waste. you know we understand that every time we throw our waste into a drainage canal, into a drainage channel, we burn our refuse, we waste electricity, or we ignore environmental problems, we also contribute to climate change. I mean, most people these days, you just see them, they burn refuse, they will leave their lights. We have talked about this over time on the show where we say, please ensure that you turn off your lights when not in use. Even if you are at home, it's important that you learn some of these things. And instead of asking who should do more, I think the better question is, what can each of us do today to protect our environment? It's not about, it is a collaborative effort. It is a multidimensional um, drive to ensure that we have a climate environment that is conducive for every one of us, you know. And so what we need to know as we begin to round up the show is the fact that climate change is one of the biggest challenges facing our world today. We've said this over and over again. It's not a Nigerian problem. It's not a problem of maybe it is about this part of the country. It doesn't affect us. It's not true. It affects all of us in the world, not just Nigeria. And solving it requires each and every one of us to work together. Uh, One thing is sure, government will call on the government to please lead with strong policies that can be implemented and monitored, please. Policies that can be implemented and monitored, not just having these policies. It's also important that we check in to ensure that these policies are being implemented. How far does it need a review? Depending on what is on ground. It's also important that businesses learn to operate responsibly. If you do a business anywhere where you need to maybe put out things, you sell different things that might litter our environment, please operate responsibly. And for individuals, citizens of the country as it were, we must make environmental friendly choices every blessed day. It's not a one-off thing. Why do we say this? This is because no effort is too small and no contribution is insignificant, like we've reiterated on this show. And it's important that we all take responsibility. When we take responsibility, we build cleaner communities, healthier families, and of course, a safer future for generations to come. It's important that as we go through the weekend, I know the weekend is almost here upon us, we need to intentionally make climate friendly environment. Do not litter. Some people will go for Owambe. Some people will do naming, do wedding, do everything. We celebrate you and what you love to do. But then please ensure to clear off all of the waste so that it doesn't litter our environment. And at the end of the day, we suffer from flooding flooding, which displaces people from their homes, destroys people's source of livelihood. It has a lot of disadvantages. You stay more in traffic when the roads are flooded. We know all of these things. So we need to be held, we need to be responsible for our actions and even our inactions. Thank you for listening to Climate Care on Women Radio Doma. Stay informed, stay responsible, and remember Ton Okewale Shinaya. And until next time, remember that protecting the environment begins with the choices we make every day. Stay informed, stay responsible, and remain climate conscious. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.